Hey everybody, this is Brett, and today I'm going to show you how to improve your diet. And I have a few things in mind just off the top of my head, but if I look around the kitchen and in my fridge and cupboard, etc., then I'll probably just find them because I'm always doing something to inch it up just a little bit, tighten things up, clean things up, raw things up, you know. So let's see. I'm eating less fruit, and the fruit that I am eating, actually I'm eating quite a bit of fruit, but the fruits that I am eating are grapefruits and green apples. Now I'm also eating some berries because berries have antioxidants, and right now I have some strawberries that I just bought, a little bit left from the last one. But I put them in the freezer so they don't go bad and so that I can eat them at my leisure. And let's see. I'm really eating soups religiously. And soups have a lot of liquid, and liquid is really important when you're cleansing and healing your body. Water is your best friend in so many different regards. And so check it out. There's some soup right there. And I'll make a big pot in a slow cooker, and this has chicken broth that was stewed for like many hours. And so I keep the bones in this container that you may have seen. After I don't throw any chicken bones away. I save them all in the freezer to use to make broth for the soups. Okay, so there's some various organ meats in there that I've saved, and I feed that to Chakra, and I eat a lot of fish. And right now it's egg eating season. It is Easter time, and you should know that it's important to look at the seasons because they tell you sometimes what to eat. And the chickens right now, they're like, let's lay eggs! So what? There's extra eggs, and you eat them. And you want to make sure that you get as good a quality, especially with chicken. With chicken, do not slack on quality. I had a little interview, not an interview, but a consultation with a customer, client, whatever you want to call these people, the other day. And I said, let's go look in your fridge and see what you got in there. And guess what he had? Eggland's Best. Eggland's Best eggs. And he thought that those were a good quality. Not. They're not. I said, throw them away. Don't eat that shit. It's a good lesson sometimes to go and look at all the labels, decipher what's really not healthy, listen to somebody that knows, like myself, and then just throw away $100 worth of food. And then maybe you won't go back to buying the crappy white bread and other stuff like he had in his fridge. And he was wondering, well, why am I not feeling so good? You know? Okay, so let's see. Eating plenty of squash and root vegetables. And these are things that I have been eating, so this is not an improvement, but it's important to eat foods, especially in the springtime, because in the natural world, you could go out in the spring and dig up the root veggies that had been in the ground for the whole winter time, waiting for you for the springtime to dig them up. Very smart, and that's how we'll do it in the future when we don't have money to pay for this fridge to be running all the time. We'll be using the coolness of the outdoors and the earth to keep the food cool, like what they used to do, a root cellar. See, we'll be going back to the way the Amish used to live, or still live. And it's important to realize the importance of some of the traditional ways and why they're being preserved for us today. Because we're going to need them again. Okay, so I've been eating, as you may have noticed, quite a bit of sushi. And I'm now going to start eating, and I have been eating less peanut butter, although I still just bought 1 jar of peanut butter, but I'm going to be eating less of that, and what I'm going to substitute it with is this. I just bought a big bag of shredded coconut. Okay, so in one of the next videos, I'm going to take this coconut and show you how to make coconut butter in the wet grinder. And let's see. What comes to mind? I still am eating some dried fruit. Let's check that out real quick. I've got some prunes. And prunes are great because they have a lot of nutrients in them. Prunes, you may not feel like eating that much prunes, but it's good to eat prunes because they have a lot of iron and they keep you moving. You know, they're a laxative, natural, totally natural laxative. And they have more than just iron, but they have a lot of nutrients in them, a lot of vitamins and minerals, and yeah. So these are apricots, and they have a mega amount of vitamin A in them. So, yeah, they're really good. I do have some walnuts, and I have some pumpkin seeds that I'm going to roast pretty soon. And I just harvested that kraut. So I'm eating that. And check it out. I am now able to eat or drink quite a bit of kombucha. This is something that I have not been able to do a lot of in the past. But I've been drinking it almost every day, but not every day. And it really helps to get tissue opened up in your body. It really opens things up in your body. And you don't want to consume too much of it because it'll create too much inflammation. The acid in kombucha really makes tissue open up, in my opinion, and I think that I've read that too. But from my experience, that's what it does. For me, it's amazing. It kind of just pinpoints what you need to create movement in your body, and it does it. And it's kind of a miracle. But I've been eating a lot of raw food, and what I do is I take that those carrots in a bag, and I chop them up into like 1/2-inch pieces, and then I'll also put like celery, and there's celery in there, and I'll also put purple cabbage or regular cabbage, or some raw foods like radishes, and I'll chop it all up in the food processor, and then I mash it all up in the wet grinder. And I do that because I don't have a lot of molars, and it really helps me to mash up my food, just like a baby or an old person with no teeth. I'm sort of old, but I still like chicks, you know? But so that's the deal. That's the deal with what I'm eating and improvements that I'm making. And it's all geared towards creating more movement. And that means consuming less foods that clog and slow down. Like heavy fats, animal products, yada yada yada. It doesn't mean that I'm completely getting rid of all animal products. It means that I'm reducing them. And oh, I am eating tempeh regularly. Comes in a great big slab like that. And so I'm eating more beans, especially now with the springtime. More beans, less animal foods, but still eggs. And less of the heavier fat peanut butter, and more of the anti-candida coconut shreds, butter that's going to become a butter, etc. Wait, there's something I forgot. I need to request something. Check this out. Today was a very big day for me and Chakra. I had to borrow Jared's car because mine is limping. It just cannot go a very long distance reliably and expect to make it there and back anymore. And so I needed to go to Mills River to pick up my motor because I ordered an engine. You may know that, about that. And so I brought it back to Jared's place and we transferred it over into my car, and there it is. Hopefully it's still got lots of miles in it. It's a low mileage Japanese motor. It's only been run in Japan by a Japanese person that owned it. Now that is a 7AFE 1.8 Corolla motor, put in this car and also in Geo Prisms in the mid-90s. And yeah, after all is said and done, mechanic bill, cost of the engine, various parts, etc., I will be into it $1,700. That means I've got to replenish my cash because that drains me most of the way. I didn't have that much, but the car was limping so bad that it was like, okay, well, it's now or never. I mean, you got to do this. And so, if you have a product that you've been wanting to buy, but you just cannot, have not been able to afford it, contact me at brett@brettsnaturalhealth.com. I'll put the link in the description box. And I'll see what I can do because I really need to make some sales. That's all there is to it. If you got to make sales, you got to make sales. And I hope that you are doing well. Thanks again for joining me. And oh, 2 more big days. The day I take it over to the mechanic, and the day I pick it up, the biggest day. Soon, hopefully. Thanks for joining me.